and welcome to my Teddy Talk. Today I'd like to show you how I cut down my old fat mats to make them into the new regulation size for Age of Sigmar 3.0 and how to turn the excess into circular objective markers. The new size for 2000 points is 60 by 44 inches, but most people have mats that are the old size, which is 6 by 4 feet or 72 by 48 inches. However, before we get to any cutting, etc., we need to talk about the actual size of the mats. Although they're labeled as 6 by 4 feet, I found that it's never actually the case. Both mats that I bought are 1 inch short lengthwise and 1/4 of an inch short widthwise. This needs to be taken into account when we're measuring how big we want to cut them down. If we're just cutting them down to size, then we don't need to consider anything but the actual dimensions. However, if we want to make objective markers out of a mat that's 71 by 47 3/4 inches, then we need to cut the mat shorter to fit, or else we're only going to have enough space to make 11-inch diameter objective markers, and that won't be accurate and would defeat the purpose. If you're buying a new mat, then I'd suggest getting the larger 8 by 4 foot mat and cutting that down instead, as they seem to be the same price, and then you can make 6 objective markers out of the excess with room to spare. Part 1. Taking measurements. For this part, you're going to need something to actually measure it with. I know, it's a big surprise. I highly recommend a square here as the tool of choice, but a meter stick is the more necessary tool, and it will help with cutting as well. If you don't have either of those things, you don't need to panic. You can always use a tape measure. And if you don't have that, then, I don't know, use a bunch of 60mm dice or something. Figuring out what needs to be cut off is quite easy. You just take the total length of your mat and subtract 60 from it, or 59 if you want to make circular objectives out of a 6-foot mat, to get the distance you need to cut off. This is where measuring it ahead of time pays off. Don't assume they are the length or width written on the package, as I have found that not to be the case with any of my mats. In the example of my 8 by 4 foot mat, it would be 95 inches minus 60 to get a total of 35 inches I need to cut off the length, and 47 3/4 inches, which means I need to cut 3 3/4 inches from the width. On my other mat, I measured 71 inches lengthwise, so I need to cut 11 inches from the length and 47 3/4 inches, so I need to cut off the same amount as the first mat. First, I showed how to measure it out, using the tape measure method in case some of you don't have a square or meter stick. But as you can see in the video, I was measuring on a little bit of an angle, so it wasn't as accurate this way. It will still be way more accurate than it says on the package, but I thought I should point it out. I then took the same measurements using the meter stick and square. The difference was only about 1 millimeter or so I wouldn't be too worried about it if you don't have a square. I marked mine first in pencil, then used my meter stick again to connect the lines, and then I drew a thicker line with my Sharpie, noting down which part is where the meter stick was, so I know exactly where to put it in order to get a cut that's on the right side of the line. A silver Sharpie here is excellent and can be clearly seen. I bought mine at the dollar store. Part 2. Cutting. When cutting, I'd suggest using a box cutter or a rotary tool. I was told that the rotary tool is the better tool for the job, but in the end I actually preferred the box cutter with a fresh blade. If you don't have either of those, you can use a pair of scissors. You don't have scissors? Then, I don't know, be a badass and use a tomahawk. Cutting is surprisingly harder than it looks. You'll need something to cut on as well. If you don't have a nice piece of flat wood, then you can always use some cardboard boxes that you've got lying around from all those Amazon deliveries you've got going on during the Rona. Don't mark the lines on them while the mats are on top of the boxes though. Neoprene is a very flexible material and it will distort the natural lines. When using a box cutter, if you ever so slightly lean the cutter in the direction of the metal meter stick, the blade will stay along the edge of it and you'll get a nice clean line. Just be careful not to cut yourself as you're using a very sharp tool. Under no circumstances should a child be doing this. Also, I marked this video as not suitable for kids, so what are they even doing watching it anyway? You may find you need to go over it a couple of times with the box cutter, or more than that with the rotary tool in my experience. And you mad lads with the tomahawks really have your work cut out for yourselves, I'm afraid. Finally, when it's all done though, it'll look great and be more accurate than if you bought it pre-cut. Part 3. Making objective markers out of the excess material. For this part you'll need a compass, some scissors, and preferably a silver Sharpie. But if you don't have a compass and do happen to have some regulation 12-inch objective markers, then you can always use them and trace the edges. If you don't have either, then you could always MacGyver a compass out of some children's toys, but it may not be as accurate. I don't know what you guys want from me at this point. First, we measure that the compass is accurately showing a 6-inch span. If you're tight for space, you can always use the ends to mark where the edges of the circle should be and adjust the needle so that it fits. Then we mark the circle first in pencil. After that, I find that it's best to mark the outside of the line in a silver Sharpie again, as when manipulating the mat it can be hard to see the pencil line. Then finally, we carefully cut out the objective markers using a good pair of scissors. I really think these objective markers look great, as they always match the mat they're from and on, but you clearly see when you're on or off the objective. Next time on Saga of Dice Do It Yourself, cutting down your Realm of Battle board. Just kidding. I don't need your clicks that bad. But please like, comment, and subscribe for more content, or you could be a real hero and share this video with a friend you think would enjoy it. Thanks for watching. Hey, real quick, right at the end of the video, I just wanted to mention my favorite store, Magic Stronghold. They didn't pay me anything to say this, but they've been instrumental in helping me grow my hobby and help me improve this channel. I've never seen a better selection of hobby accessories anywhere in Canada. They've got AK Interactive, WARCOLOURS, Green Stuff World, Vallejo, of course, Citadel, you name it, they've got it. Check them out, and please tell them I sent you. Thanks again for watching.